We didn't suffer. I know how them kids suffer. And people don't understand that I was on death row, finna get a needle in my arm because of rat, bro.
Boosie has had a long history with the legal system, and it looks like that battle is far from over. The rapper is back behind bars, and newly released footage from jail shows him looking visibly unwell. Many fans believe the system is deliberately targeting him, and the surrounding details only reinforce that belief. Let's break it all down. From the streets to federal court, Boosie Badazz has always been seen as a voice of authenticity, someone who openly rapped about the struggles of street life. So, when news broke that he had taken a federal plea deal that could land him in prison for up to 2 years, the reaction from his community was immediate and emotional. It all began like any other day for the Baton Rouge native. On May 6, 2023, Boosie was in San Diego for work, filming a music video and preparing to perform at the Phantom Lounge in the Gaslamp Quarter. It was a routine business move, the kind that helps support his family, including his 9 children. But the streets are always under watch, and so, it seems, is social media. What happened next raised serious concerns about surveillance and privacy. During the video shoot, San Diego police were reportedly monitoring the Instagram live stream of a known neighborhood gang member. That's when they spotted Boosie with what appeared to be a black firearm tucked into his waistband. Just consider that for a moment. Law enforcement actively monitoring social media platforms, waiting for someone to make a mistake on live video. It's the kind of targeted surveillance that should make anyone in the public eye, especially those with a criminal record, think twice.
I guess, look, all the years, I've known you for like 20 years now, right? And I've never seen a gun around you.
Right.
I'm being honest.
Right.
This is not me in front of the camera. I've never seen a gun on the coffee table. I've never seen it tucked in. Nothing.
Right. The
response to the situation felt straight out of a movie, highlighting just how far the system is willing to go when they've set their sights on someone. Authorities deployed a helicopter, a full airborne law enforcement unit, to follow the black Mercedes SUV Boosie was in. They eventually pulled the vehicle over, citing a red light violation. During the stop, officers discovered 2 loaded firearms, a Glock and a Hellcat. Boosie attempted to take responsibility on behalf of his security, stating that one of the weapons belonged to his associate. However, prosecutors dismissed the explanation entirely. This is where the situation escalated to a federal level. Prosecutors claimed Boosie had obtained both firearms in Georgia and transported them to San Diego via a Delta flight that same day. That detail introduced an interstate commerce angle, precisely what was needed to elevate the charges to a federal offense. Initially, the case appeared to be a local matter. Boosie was hit with state charges from the San Diego County District Attorney, including possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, carrying a concealed weapon in a vehicle, possession of ammunition by a prohibited person, and possession of an unregistered firearm. His legal team felt optimistic, believing a probation deal could be arranged to avoid jail time. But on June 14, 2023, federal authorities revealed they were playing a much more strategic game. The state charges were quietly dropped by the San Diego County Superior Court, giving Boosie the impression he might be walking free. However, the moment he exited the courtroom, federal agents were waiting to arrest him on a felon in possession charge.
The state case was dropped, and out of nowhere, the feds picked it up.
Now, it was a state case. The feds came, picked it up.
This federal arrest immediately frustrated Boosie's legal team. His attorney, Megan Blanco, criticized the move, claiming the feds violated their own petite policy, which generally discourages prosecuting someone twice for the same offense. Another attorney, Damon Allamore, was direct. He suggested Boosie's outspoken commentary on the justice system via social media may have made him a target. The federal case itself rested on a stark legal technicality. Boosie's 2011 conviction for marijuana possession classified him as a prohibited person under federal law, legally barring him from possessing a firearm. The issue? It was a non-violent offense from over a decade ago. Yet now, he was potentially facing 15 years in federal prison for doing what many consider a constitutional right: possessing a firearm. The judge initially set Boosie's bond at $100,000, but now he was in federal court, where the rules are stricter and the consequences far more serious. This wasn't a local jail matter. It was a case that could cost him more than a decade of his life. Then, unexpectedly, a shift occurred. In July 2024, Boosie caught a break. U.S. District Judge Kathy Ann Benaruno dismissed the federal gun charge, referencing a Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling in the Stephen Shorty Duarte case. That decision found it unconstitutional to prevent non-violent felons from owning firearms under the Second Amendment.
They had a ruling in the Supreme Court that went in my favor, and the case got dropped by the judge. The case got dropped.
The celebration outside the courthouse was heartfelt. Boosie became emotional while speaking to reporters, saying, "99% of people thought I was going to prison, but God had a different plan." He marked the occasion by removing his ankle monitor and jumping into a pool at San Diego's Siquan Casino Resort, sending a message that resilience matters. But the federal government wasn't finished. Less than 2 weeks later, U.S. Attorney Tara McGrath's office re-indicted Boosie on 2 charges: possession of a firearm by a felon involving interstate commerce, and knowingly having a weapon while using controlled substances.
They went appeal the Supreme Court ruling, and they won on the Supreme Court ruling. Now it was back again.
A short time later, a larger panel from the Ninth Circuit Court reversed the earlier Duarte decision, ruling that the federal ban on felons possessing firearms was, in fact, constitutional. Just like that, Boosie's brief moment of freedom came to an abrupt end. The re-indictment added a new drug-related firearm charge, carrying an additional sentence of up to 10 years, on top of the 15-year maximum for the original felon in possession charge. Boosie voiced his frustration on social media, accusing prosecutors of overstepping and describing the process as racially biased. The evolution of this case, from something that may have ended in probation to a full-blown federal prosecution, demonstrates how aggressively the system can operate when it decides to pursue someone. The message was unmistakable. Once the federal government targets you, they will use every available method to secure a conviction. From monitoring Instagram Live, deploying helicopters, to arresting him immediately after local charges were dropped, the approach left no room for doubt. All of this highlights the level of resources and intent used against Boosie, far beyond what most people face for similar charges. It wasn't just about enforcing the law, it felt more like sending a message to anyone from the streets who made it out, but still speaks openly about their background. To fully understand why Boosie Badazz eventually accepted a federal plea deal in 2025, we need to look back at his long history with the legal system. This wasn't the case of a first-time offender caught up in the moment. This was a seasoned individual who had already faced serious legal battles, carrying the weight of past experiences that shaped how he handled this latest federal case. When keeping it real reaches a federal level, prior history becomes a major factor. Boosie's path through the justice system began early, growing up in Baton Rouge, specifically on West Garfield Street in one of Louisiana's toughest housing projects. He was expelled from McKinley High School for drug-related issues while still a teenager. The streets took hold of him early, and like many young men in similar environments, he was already moving product and racking up minor charges before reaching legal adulthood. But things escalated in 2009. That year, Boosie received a 4-year sentence for drug and firearm possession, serious charges that test both character and endurance. While serving time, he worked to keep his music career afloat, from behind bars. However, despite his efforts, external forces and street dynamics continued to shape his situation. October 2010 brought charges serious enough to threaten not just Boosie's career, but his entire future. While still incarcerated, he was indicted for first-degree murder in connection with the 2009 killing of Terry Boyd. Prosecutors alleged that Boosie paid a young associate named Michael Marlowe Mike Louding $800 to carry out the shooting, supposedly in retaliation for a perceived insult. According to their claim, Boyd had sent Boosie a letter containing threats and disrespectful remarks, and Boosie allegedly responded by orchestrating the hit.
Offer you what?
Principle.
What's that?
Principle of first degree murder.
What does that mean?
Principle mean like you had something to do with it.
The prosecution's case, however, rested on shaky ground. Their main witness was Michael Louding, who initially implicated Boosie, but later changed his story, saying police had coerced his confession by threatening him with the death penalty and promising to involve his family. Prosecutors also pointed to a tattoo Louding got 2 weeks after the murder, an image of an AK-47 with the words, "Yo Boosie, who's next?" as a form of implied guilt. One of the more controversial elements of the case was the use of Boosie's own lyrics as evidence. prosecutors cited verses from songs like 187 In and Body Bag, which were reportedly recorded on the night of the murder, as supposed insight into his mindset. This raised broader concerns about the criminalization of rap lyrics and the impact it could have on artists who use music as a form of raw self-expression.
And what was the time that they were
I
offering?
think it was like 15, but they were running concurrent, so I had like 5 left.
You didn't take it though.
Before the trial began, the prosecution attempted to offer a plea deal, but Boosie stood firm and placed his trust in his legal team.
Okay. How hard was that decision? Because
It
5
wasn't
years.
hard at all. My lawyer already told me they was beat.
Okay.
My lawyer whooped, bro. It's whooped. I just gotta run it by you. This is whooped.
Right, because it actually went to a jury verdict.
Yeah.
And all 12 jurors said,
Not good.
When the jury delivered its verdict in May 2012, the outcome came quickly.
how did that feel?
It was one of the best days of my life.
The jury took just 35 minutes to reach a verdict, finding Boosie not guilty of first-degree murder. That's how unconvincing the prosecution's case turned out to be.
I mean, I got found guilty in 36 minutes. Not guilty in 36 minutes.
Oh, that's an open and shut case.
But even avoiding a murder conviction didn't mean freedom. While still incarcerated, Boosie was charged with allegedly running a drug operation inside Louisiana's Angola prison. Those charges added more time to his sentence, keeping him behind bars until March 2014. The psychological impact from those years remains significant.
How many times have you been told on? By someone you knew?
Probably twice.
Twice. Did either one of those lead to convictions?
No.
Thank God.
No.
Okay, so
All my convictions are. Oh, yes, it did. Yes, it did.
but this is probably why it hits you a little bit deeper than everyone else.
Yeah.
You've
but
gotten told on that led. How long was the conviction?
8 years.
The pain in his voice when he talks about snitches is real because it's personal.
My cousin was taken away. Life at 15 years old because someone corroborated. My uncle was taken away in the 80s. We didn't suffer. I know how them kids suffer. And people don't understand that I was on death row, finna get a needle in my fucking arm because of rats.
Being on death row while fighting for your life leaves lasting effects. The emotional toll was immense, and the financial cost was just as damaging.
I had to do parole on that conviction. 4 year, 5 year parole when I got out.
When you look at where your career is right now, if you didn't have to sit down for 5.5 years, do you think you'd be farther along?
Hell, be rich as
Right, because you lost your house. While
I
you were
lost
locked up.
everything.
You lost everything.
I lost everything. I lost my house. I lost everything. I came back with nothing.
This entire history explains Boosie's mindset when dealing with the 2023 federal gun case. After staring down a potential death sentence, serving years in prison, losing nearly everything, and rebuilding from scratch, his perspective on risk, survival, and justice changed completely. By August 2025, after 3 years of battling the federal government, watching the case get dismissed and refiled, facing additional charges, and the threat of decades behind bars, Boosie reached his breaking point. He addressed his fans on X, writing, "Just accepted a plea from the federal government on my gun case. I thought this case was over and I was going to get on with my life, but God don't make mistakes and I'm tired of fighting. Talked to my family, and this is the right decision." The fatigue in that statement reflects the full weight of his past. Ultimately, it was family that played a key role in his decision to accept the plea and move forward.
How do you feel about the sentencing that's coming up?
I just told you I trust in God. That's how I feel. I feel like God because my mama got on my ass the other day and told me, because my mom, they heavy on God, bro.
His mother's intervention carried real weight, urging him to stop relying on political support and instead place his trust in divine guidance.
Stop asking for pardon. You taking your faith out. You taking your faith out of God. You ask God to put faith in a man. Stop asking a man. Stop asking people. I could have appealed that, but that'll be 2-3 more years, and You know, I'm just wasn't gonna go to trial with it, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna go to trial with it from the dump, actually, but I feel like this the right move for me.
In reality, the plea deal marked a win when considering what Boosie was up against. It included a recommended 2-year sentence followed by 3 years of supervised release, instead of facing the full 15-year maximum. Even more notably, prosecutors agreed not to pursue a monetary fine due to Boosie's limited financial resources. This was the same man who once turned down a 15-year plea offer in a murder case. But this time around, he recognized the value in making a strategic decision. Sometimes staying out and preserving your freedom is wiser than risking everything just to prove a point. The streets may have taught him how to survive, but experience taught him how, and when, to choose his battles, beefs, controversies, and the road ahead. While Boosie Badazz was handling serious legal issues, he was also under pressure from public scrutiny. His courtroom battles were widely reported, but his ongoing disputes and outspoken commentary continued to keep him in the spotlight, often for reasons unrelated to his case. As he faces the possibility of serving time, it's important to take stock of the conflicts surrounding him. Perhaps the most intense and personal one isn't with the prosecutors. It's with Charleston White, a known internet provocateur who has made targeting Boosie part of his online persona. This feud isn't just a typical back and forth between artists. It's become deeply personal, crossing lines that go far beyond music or public discourse.
Marlo Mike was the nigga. He killed 9 black people, my nigga, before he even got 16 years old. But you know what? That kid watched somebody die when he was a baby, and he remembered the murder. And that kid also suffered with mental health. And little Boosie running around here talking like he tough in the motherfucker. And got a 16-year-old kid with life without parole.
Charleston White's attacks on Boosie have taken an extremely personal and offensive turn. The online personality accused Boosie of threatening a Baton Rouge club promoter to prevent White from performing in the city, even claiming he contacted the FBI over alleged threats to his safety. But the situation didn't stop there. It became far more targeted and hurtful. White has repeatedly mocked Boosie's diabetes and health conditions, making predictions about his decline in prison, and even betting $10,000 on his death while incarcerated. These comments go beyond criticism. They appear to exploit someone's health struggles for attention. When Boosie made his plea deal public, Charleston White's reaction was widely viewed as deeply disrespectful.
Matter of fact, right now, Father God, in the name of Jesus, I pray Boosie get at least 36 months, God. Father God, he done gotten away too many times. You done gave him too many chances, Lord. Every knee go bow and every tongue go confess. Boosie knee ain't bowed yet, God, because he still upholds the world and the streets and the same thing that you are against, sexual lust and perversion, God.
He even went as far as writing a letter to the federal judge, urging them to impose the maximum sentence. In the letter, White referenced Boosie's past murder trial and accused him of disrespecting law enforcement. That level of animosity moves far beyond ordinary disagreement or public rivalry. What's notable, though, is how Boosie has responded. While many in his position might have retaliated, Boosie has shown restraint, likely aware of how any reaction could impact his ongoing legal situation.
But I guess that never
I don't
happened.
need no apology.
I know, you don't need an apology, but I felt that if I had the chance to do that, I would at least try. Unfortunately, it didn't
But
work.
Charleston White isn't Boosie's only source of controversy. His public comments on LGBTQ+ issues have led to widespread backlash that extends far beyond his core fan base. In February 2020, during an Instagram live session, Boosie criticized NBA player Dwyane Wade's transgender daughter, Zaya Wade, urging the athlete not to allow his child to transition. His remarks were widely seen as crossing the line, especially because they targeted a minor, leading to accusations of transphobia. Then, in October 2021, Boosie escalated the situation further by directing hateful remarks toward openly gay rapper Lil Nas X, encouraging self-harm and condemning his openness about his sexuality. These statements were broadly condemned, resulted in bans from several platforms, and drew strong reactions from the LGBTQ+ community. Most recently, in January 2024, Boosie faced criticism for walking out of the Color Purple movie because it depicted lesbian relationships. He stated that he was protecting his daughters from content he found inappropriate. However, many pointed out the contradiction, noting that his own music often promotes sexualized portrayals of women with women when it fits a male-driven fantasy. These controversies haven't just sparked debate, they've had real consequences, both publicly and professionally. In March 2025, Planet Fitness banned Boosie from all their gyms due to his previous transphobic remarks about Zaya Wade. The fallout from his statements has impacted his income and access to certain spaces. Perhaps the most personal and difficult consequence has been within his own family. In 2023, Boosie's daughter, Poison Ivy, came out as a lesbian. During an interview on Vlad TV, Boosie stated that her sexuality wasn't accepted in their Southern Baptist household. The emotional toll of being rejected by a parent for one's identity is profound and long-lasting. Yet, despite the backlash, or perhaps because of his unapologetic stance, Boosie continues to have a loyal fanbase that values his consistency. In an era where many artists adjust their image to gain mainstream approval, Boosie has remained firm in his views, even when it's cost him financially and professionally. As November 23rd, 2025, his sentencing date draws near, the big question remains: what lies ahead for the Baton Rouge rapper? The plea agreement recommends a 2-year sentence followed by 3 years of supervised release. However, the final outcome could vary depending on how the judge weighs several key factors. His attorney, Megan Blanco, is advocating for leniency, emphasizing Boosie's charitable initiatives and positive contributions to his community. She's hoping the court might consider probation over prison time. The judge is expected to review his involvement in efforts like the Caleb Wilson Memorial Scholarship, as well as his responsibilities as a father to 9 children. But the federal court system is strict, and Boosie's criminal history, along with his recent controversies, may not work in his favor. Prosecutors have taken an aggressive approach from the beginning and are likely to push for him to serve the full 2-year sentence.
It's up to the judge to give me credit for my anger monitor.
Exactly.
It's up to the judge to give me credit for my anger monitor.
If Boosie ends up serving time, his career path is already mapped out. When he was released in 2014 after serving 5 years, he signed with Atlantic Records and dropped Touchdown to Cause Hell in 2015, which debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200. That release showed that time behind bars didn't weaken the loyalty of his fan base. His most recent project, Words of a Real One, released in August 2025, proves he's still creatively sharp, even while battling federal charges. The streets have embraced the album, and it sets him up well for whatever lies ahead. Throughout this legal situation, the hip-hop community has continued to show support. Fans on social media have flooded his posts with messages like, "Stay, Strong Boosie," and "We got you," demonstrating that respect and authenticity still matter. That kind of loyalty is rare in an industry known for quick turnarounds and shifting alliances. But the culture is evolving, and Boosie's traditional views might not align with today's more progressive hip-hop audience. His stance on LGBTQ+ issues places him at odds with where the broader culture seems to be moving, and that could limit his appeal beyond his core base. The ongoing conflict with Charleston White also isn't going away. White has already vowed to keep targeting Boosie's family through online content while Boosie is incarcerated. So even if Boosie does serve time, the public drama may continue outside the prison walls.
And they got people from the feds calling me, blowing me up right now, bro, everywhere, bro. When you coming up here? We just heard the news. Man, shit, I ain't even in jail, dog.
Need a cellmate? Where do I sign up?
Got a bag waiting on you, you straight.
Even his enemies.
Critics acknowledge his street credibility. Word is, federal inmates are already trying to connect with him before sentencing even happens. That kind of reputation follows those considered solid, no matter where they go. Major outlets, like Billboard and Rolling Out, have already highlighted how resolving this case, even if it includes prison time, might bring Boosie the closure he needs to fully refocus on his music career. In many ways, the uncertainty of battling federal charges may have been more damaging than actually serving time. No matter what happens on November 21st, Boosie has already solidified his legacy as one of the most authentic figures in the game. From the streets of Baton Rouge to the courtroom in San Diego, he's remained true to himself, never compromising who he is or where he came from. The system may have tried to break him, but he's still here. And the next phase of his journey will begin on November 21st, 2025, when Judge Kathy Benno delivers the final sentence. Whether he ends up serving the recommended 2 years, receives probation, or gets a tougher outcome, one thing is clear. Boosie Badazz has already shown that true resilience doesn't fold under pressure. His story is about more than just one federal case. It's a reflection of how someone from the Baton Rouge projects turned struggle into success, used street smarts to climb the charts, and never abandoned his roots, even when it cost him. Whether he's free or locked up, Boosie's influence continues to resonate. His story will keep motivating the next wave of artists who refuse to compromise their truth just to fit in. Hip-hop still needs voices like his, real ones who speak without filters and stand on what they believe, no matter the consequences. Whatever comes next, one thing remains certain: the streets will always respect authenticity, and few embody that more than Boosie Badazz. Like this video, and be sure to check out more related content through the suggested cards on your screen.